Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's sharing of Harmonize to Energize. My name is Terry Matthews. It's been my pleasure and privilege to share aspects of JIN SHIN JYUTSU, and more recently, modalities with overriding aspects to JIN SHIN JYUTSU. And today is a special day in that, or a special session in that I'm joined by Beth Lendrum, who many of
Hello.
you may or may not be familiar with. But Beth is also a long-time JIN SHIN JYUTSU practitioner like myself, self-help teacher, etc., etc. So welcome, everybody. I hope you've had a good week so far, and I hope it continues to get better and better. And for those of you that are completely brand new, the novices amongst us, actually, we're all novices in the sense that we're always learning something. JIN SHIN JYUTSU is an art that was brought to the West by a Japanese American by the name of Mary Ino Burmeister, who learnt it from a Japanese master, Jiro Murai, during the early 40s. She brought it to America, I'm now told by Wayne, in the 50s, and probably began teaching in the late 50s because, as he pointed out, there was a publication of her teachings in 1966. So what is it and why do we do it? It's an art of harmonizing energy, life force, or sometimes called prana, as it moves through energy pathways in the body, just like they talk about in acupuncture. But instead of using very tiny little points and needles, we have what Mary coined safety energy locks. There's 26 of them, left and right of the spine and 3 in the arms. And they all have special names, special descriptions, very poetic in nature, but can in fact relate to how the energy can be transduced to harmonize with every aspect of your being, soul, heart, mind, and body. So we do this by placing the palms of our hands, the back of our hands, or the fingers on these safety energy locks, these 26 safety energy locks. And each one is the size, the diameter of your palm of your hand, not mine. So you can place a palm of a hand on your chest if you like, or under your scapula here. And that'll be the size of the safety energy lock for you. Once you've placed your hands there, you're waiting to feel a pulse, just like you would feel on the radial artery on your wrist. As soon as you feel a pulse, yes, it's the blood pulse, but the blood pulse follows the energy, not the other way around. So if the blood is pulsing, the energy must be moving. So that's it from me. And I think, Beth, do you want to read from the slide, or have you got that?
Well, I have a slide.
Oh, with that written down from...
I do.
Okay, over to you, Beth.
So let me share my screen. So what I'm reading here is from text to page 2 for those who have studied JIN SHIN JYUTSU. And for those who haven't studied, I'm going to read you this important paragraph. And there is so much in this paragraph, and I really applaud Terry for taking the time in this series of his Harmonize to Energize to really to go through each of the specific things that Mary talks about that can affect our body. So let me read to you. This is from her. The title is Physiophilosophy, which is Nature, Effortless Reality. When the 12 individual body function energy is in balance with the universal harmonizing energy, there is perfect harmony within and without the body. However, this perfect harmony may be interrupted by daily eating habits, working habits, hereditary characteristics, too dry or too damp living, environment, so too dry or too damp living environment, weather conditions, mental and emotional anxieties, accidents causing bodily injuries, or by injection of poisonous matter into the body. And today we are going to be focusing on, because Terry has covered a lot of these, but we are focusing on the mental and emotional anxieties and what in JIN SHIN JYUTSU we can utilize to help harmonize. So, and Terry, you're muted, but I believe it is.
Oh yeah,
you.
so I am. That's probably a good thing. Gives me time to collect my thoughts. So now I'm going to share something. Here we go. Why that happened. Okay, some of you may be familiar with traditional Chinese medicine. I mentioned acupuncture earlier, and certainly Master Morai was. He studied the Yellow Emperor, which is the Bible, if you like, for traditional Chinese medicine. Now, I'm more or less going to read what it says here, because it's as clear as it can be. According to traditional Chinese medicine, the spirit/mind is called Shen, and it is housed in the heart. The heart, referred to as emperor, spreads the Shen throughout the body via the circulation of blood. Strong heart and sufficient blood results in balanced mental activity, healthy emotional life, clear consciousness, strong memory, sharp thinking, and smooth sleep. However, if the heart is weak and blood is inadequate, mental activities are disturbed. Symptoms such as mental uneasiness and distress, insanity, abnormal behavior, excessive dreaming, or insomnia, anxiety and depression can appear. So I'm beginning by suggesting that where the Chinese were going is that the heart is the root cause of mental anxieties, mental imbalances. And the reason is because this spirit aspect of the mind called the Shen is transferred throughout the body via the blood, and the blood goes everywhere. All right. And so you have all these different qualities. I used to think that it was the Chinese that wouldn't work on the mind generally, but I was reading some on the heart generally, but I was reading somewhere recently that it was actually the Japanese, where JIN SHIN JYUTSU derives from. So anyway, maybe Jiro Murai changed all that, because in the next slide, here we go. Can you all see that? Maybe I should turn this into a slideshow. Here we go.
Yeah, can you do that? It'd be easier to see if you could do.
Okay, can you see that?
Amazingly perfect. Thank you.
In JIN SHIN JYUTSU, this is a chart from our studies that has divided the flows between finger, face, toe, and chest, regeneration and generation. And if you look down on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see the face flows relate to mental, emotional, and mighty powers of the mind. And you can see that there's three yang flows, hollow organs, the gallbladder, the bladder, and the stomach, not the yin, not necessarily the heart. However, if you look underneath air, you'll see Sept log 23, and the 23-25 flow. 23-25 flow relates to working with fourth depth kidney and fifth depth heart. So actually in JIN SHIN JYUTSU, we do work with the heart at the unmanifest level, and there is also an organ flow, the heart organ flow, which we can utilize as well to harmonize and balance heart energy, blood energy. But in this particular connection relationship, the three flows are hollow flows, yang flows. The organs are gallbladder, bladder, and stomach. And they, when they're out of balance, according to JIN SHIN JYUTSU, will disharmonize our mental, emotional, mighty powers of the mind. Now, what is interesting is, if those of you that are familiar, or at least to me, with Starman, you'll know that all of these particular flows relate in terms of supporting, burdening, or energizing the heart or the small intestine. I'll say small intestine here because in JIN SHIN JYUTSU we couple the yin and the yang together. We couple the heart with the small intestine, and we call it fifth depth. So when you look at this chart on bottom right here, we have the stomach. It can act as an escape route for the small intestine, part of fifth depth. The bladder can unburden small intestine, and the gallbladder can support small intestine, fifth depth. So I thought what we would do simply is just experience those particular energies through our fingers. It's very simple to do that. And I'm just going to stop the share. All right. So those of you that are familiar with self-help and self-help books will know that Mary talked about the palm side of our hands and fingers relates to descending flows, and the backside ascending flows. Well, because we've been talking about the hollow flows there, the gallbladder, the stomach, and the bladder, they're in fact descending flows. So we're bringing energy down that could imbalance the heart, mind, the Shen, by bringing it down. And so those of you that have studied the mudras will know that there is one mudra where the thumb goes across the back of the thumb, index, and middle. The thumb will represent stomach and spleen, the index finger, kidney, bladder, and the middle, liver, gallbladder. Well, you can do that and it will help the ascending energy. But what about if you put the thumb underneath? All right. Mary didn't actually publish this. She might have said it, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to put the thumb underneath. The thumb, the index. So you can choose left or right hand. I'm doing the left because the left encourages an exhale, and exhale encourages descending. So let's do that. Let's put our thumb. If that's uncomfortable for you for any reason, hold them one at a time. But what we're going to do...
Harry, can you hold your hands up a little higher so people can see what you're doing, just to start? Got it. So you just have them together. Okay.
So yeah, and then the thumb underneath, all right, on the palm side. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to do 27 exhale, inhales with these three. And then in the very last 9, because Mary worked with 9 exhalation inhalations, we're going to grab the little finger, which represents heart and small intestine, and then place our thumb into the palm of the hand, which represents the guardian, if you like, of the heart, which is the diaphragm, and also safety engine lock 26. Are you with me? If you're not, I'll explain it again in a minute. But for now, thumb underneath, palm side of these 3 fingers, the other fingers on top, place them beneath your belly button, if you will, or in your lap. Beneath the belly button is where energy from the universe, that's one of the places where energy from the universe can enter the body in through the umbilicus. Okay, close eyes, keep your back as straight as possible. And when we exhale from our head to our feet. And when we inhale from our feet to our head. And we're going to do it 27 times, and there'll be a pause between each ninth breath. Here we go. Exhale. And the energy is going to spiral down, if you allow it, from head through your hip line all the way to your feet. And it'll turn round at the big toe as you receive a breath, as you inhale, and go all the way back up to the head. Safety engine lock 4, the window to let in more light. 8 more times. Here we go. And just relax your shoulders, your head. Feel your shoulders and your head sinking into your hips, into your legs, into your feet, and grounding to the earth. And then receive a breath from the earth all the way back up to heaven, the head. Just let go. You may or may not begin to feel pulses through your fingers, the blood pulse, the energy pulse, therefore. It's okay, whatever you're feeling. Just have that intention to let go and allow the energy of those particular depths to connect through your fingers and to the rest of your body, actually, to the energy pathways, to the safety energy locks, to the vertebrae. And depending on your metabolic rate, you may or may not have reached your 9th exhalation, inhalation. And if and when you do, we're going to just pause here and just witness. Notice how you feel. Do you feel that your energy is descending? Do you feel anything? Sometimes it helps the descend to pull in your lower abdominal muscles or to focus on your big toes. If you're someone that exhaling is difficult for. Okay, second set of 9. Exhale, drop shoulders. You can bow your head slightly. Allow the energy to let go. Let go of dirt, dust, and greasy grime to build something new. And as we inhale, we purify what we've created. Purification, regeneration. Eight more times. Sometimes when we're releasing, some emotional impulses may trigger things. Keep on letting go. Don't get caught up in old memories and old thoughts. Just let them go. And receive that beautiful cosmic purified energy feeding every level of our being, replenishing, regenerating. And the attitudes that are being harmonized with these three fingers from thumb to middle are worry, fear, and frustration or anger, which are responses that, if we experience too often, become attitudes and will disturb the Shen, will disturb the heart. Okay, you've come to your ninth exhalation, inhalation again. Pause, reflect. Notice how you're feeling, where you might be feeling. Are you connecting heaven to earth? Are you feeling your connection to Mother Earth? Feeling grounded. It's important. A lot of mental, emotional issues are related to the inability to ground because we don't want to face, there we go, face flows. We don't want to face what is uncomfortable. But if we want a clear mind and a happy heart, we need to get used to that. All right, last 9 with the 3 fingers. Begin. Exhale. Okay, we reach the ninth exhalation, inhalation. Just pause, and now we're going to move to the little finger. And this time we're just going to hold the little finger and then place the thumb. Again, I'm using my left hand. I'm going to grab my little finger and put my thumb in the center to activate heart protector, umbilicus, and also safety engine lock 26, which is in fifth depth heart. And we're holding the heart small intestine finger. And if you want to face the music, all you need is love to help to help balance those mental, emotional anxieties. Here we go, last 9. Just really let go and receive that powerful, cosmic, purified energy. Regenerating all our cells, DNA, RNA, all our bodies, energy locks, chakras, light body, mental body, physical body. Don't worry if you don't complete the 9, but a 9, when you're doing this perhaps by yourself, 9 represents end of a cycle, beginning of a new. So it's a good number to work toward. And the 4 9s become a 36, the 36 breaths, which Mary Burmeister practiced a lot. 3 and 6 is 9. And again, pause when you come to that 36th breath there, last set of 9. Observe how you feel, where you feel. Maybe you don't feel anything, so don't get anxious about not feeling anything or connecting to anything. Too often in our education, we've been given expectations. I have found with time that having expectations isn't always healthy. It's sometimes much better just to let go and trust. So in that chart, and I'll just do this very briefly because I want to get you moving toward Beth. Yeah.
Take your time, Terry.
Oh, thank you.
No need to rush. We've got nothing but time.
Yeah, and for some reason, why am I doing that? It seems to have disappeared. Not good. Okay, got it. That unmanifested flow shown on that chart was 23 and 25, which is a 5th depth heart small intestine flow. All we're going to do, just to bring things to a conclusion, is you can find your left, put your right hand on your left 5, which is your medial ankle, just beneath the ankle bone there. If you can't reach that, you can hold your index finger and then the left on the left 25. So you got your hand, your left hand on your left sit bone, and your right hand is on the left ankle, just underneath the ankle bone. And then we'll just hold that for 9 breaths. Here we go. Exhale. Receive the breath. It's not a take. I still hear a lot of conversation where people will say, take a breath. Well, I'm not going to judge them, but it makes more sense to receive to me. Because the breath is all around us in the form of light, oxygen, all that. You don't have to take anything. It's here to serve us. We just have to be open, create a space by letting go, and fill up the space by receiving the cosmic purified energy. You may or may not have felt pulses, safety tension at 5, the ankle bone there, and on the sit bone. Don't be anxious if you didn't. But generally, if you do, that tells you that both those energy locks are connecting through the pathway in between safety energy lock 5 and 25. 5 is a second depth, safety energy lock, 25 is 5th depth. And second and 5th depth are harmonized by 6th depth, main central. So we're back now into oneness. 6th depth. You can put your hands together like this, palms, your hands together like that, on your chest, by your heart chakra. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you feel relaxed, less anxious if you were feeling anxious, peaceful, clear-headed if you weren't. And over to Beth.
Thank you, Terry. That was beautiful. And so Terry went into the cause of our mental emotional projects, and where, he touched on the lumbar circle and the face flows. I thought I would focus on what can you utilize to give yourself or somebody else immediate results. Working on the cause can take a little while. Of course, people will feel a relief, but it can take a little while. And so my favorite flow for supporting somebody is the 20-21-22 flow. And I saw firsthand utilizing that flow with my husband, who was really stressed out at work. And, I knew and this was several years ago, I felt like I couldn't send him to work that day. That's how stressed he was. And I said, let's just take a few minutes. Let's have you get on the table. And I listened to his pulses, and I wanted to hear the 13 flow, except for I didn't hear the 13 flow. And then I said, okay, what do I do? And that's when I did the 21, 22 flow. And he was he was a different person at the end of that session. And he was able to go to work and be able to function and think more clearly. All those things that get away from us when we are in that position of imbalance mentally and or emotionally. Another thing that also struck me was in a class, there was a woman who had multiple personalities. And she said she could feel when things were starting to shift in her brain. And she would do the 21, the 20, 21, 22 flow, and that would bring everything together for her. And I've always remembered that. So instead of having, I am going to have a slide because I want to focus on one safety energy lock to begin with, but then I'm not going to have slide. And that is safety energy lock number 12, which is so important. And safety energy lock number 12 is on the middle of your neck on either side of the spine. You don't have to hold there right now. We are going to go there. But this safety energy lock is so important to our mental and emotional health. The 12 helps to open up our waistline, like our 14 area, which is our connection to our mind, to our thinking mind. So they are symbiotic, the 12 and the 14. And the words that Mary used to describe safety energy lock number 12 are my will versus thy will. So how many times do you find yourself pushing through the day, pushing? I can get through this. I can get through this. But if you just stop and take a moment and even hold your safety energy lock number 12, and remind yourself to let somebody else run the universe today. And let you be the conduit for spirit working through you, allowing thy will to resonate and to operate from thy will. Terry mentioned an open heart. I call it leading with love. The right safety energy lock number 12 is more about depression and more about mental illness. So uber important to keep that clear. And then the left safety energy lock number 12 is when there's anger, when somebody is more aggressive. And there's a lot of conversation around bipolar, which is, either can be manic or depressed. And whenever I encounter somebody a client or a friend or whomever, talks about being bipolar, I take a look at them and I work to decide, is their bipolar more anger or more depression? And that will give you the insight to how you can support them better. So keep your 12s open. Let somebody else run the universe today. And let's just take a moment to hold our safety energy lock number 12, and let's hold both of them. So I find like I happen to have a desk in front of me, so it's really easy for me to hold and keep my elbows propped on the table. You're allowed to prop your elbows on the table. It's much more, for me, it's much more comfortable than having my arms out in the air, or I'll even put a pillow in front of me so that my arms have some place to rest if I don't happen to have a desk. Actually, this is even more comfortable than my desk, so I'm going to stay like this. And let's just exhale. And inhale. Not my will, but thy will. Safety energy lock number 12 is also stated submission of personal consciousness to the direction of the universal mind. And again, that's just a fancy way of saying, instead of you pushing through, allow the universe to work through you. Be guided by spirit. And just let your hands relax. Take notice. What opened up for you? What maybe is calling for more attention? So when I'm working with a client that I feel needs some support in their safety energy lock number 12, I will sit behind their head and just hold both safety energy lock number 12 to begin with, just to help them to release on both sides. And so now let's do the first few steps of the 21, 22, 23 flow together. So I'm going to take my right hand and place it on my right safety energy lock number 12. And let's take a couple of breaths right here. Receiving that breath of life. And inviting the breath to circulate throughout your body. And then take your right hand and just gently place it above your left hand, gently placed above your left eyebrow. Safety energy lock number 20. Everlasting eternity. You can live in a blissful state, and JIN SHIN JYUTSU gives you the tools for that to happen. You would be happily amazed and happily surprised how many of your clients will feel, and you can see it in them and feel it in their body, a shift just from holding this first step. And then taking your left hand and moving it down to your left cheekbone. Safety energy lock number 21. Helping you to live with profound security, feeling secure in your body, in your life. And moving your left hand to your left 22, which is to the left of your throat, right at the clavicle area. The gathering place for all of the elements, the railway station for all of the flows. And when this is open and in harmony, you feel complete. And it's at this point with my clients that have really been under duress, I see a huge shift in them. Their body really relaxes. They actually exhale. And then holding the left index finger, which is hard to do, except for that you can make a circle with your thumb over your left index finger nail. And I invite you to actually play with this. Does the circle feel better, or do the fingertips feel better? By supporting your index finger, It helps you to be in flow with your life, with everything around you. And then taking your left hand and placing it on your right 14, so your right rib cage. Helping you to find that equilibrium. And then taking your left hand and placing it on your right 15, your right groin area. And we often refer to this as washing our hearts with laughter, bringing joy and laughter in. So as you or your client has exhaled and we've moved everything out of the head and down the body, they can find laughter. And it's also referred to as renewing intelligence, a new you with a clear mind. And then on your next exhale, just releasing your hands. Allowing your body time to integrate. And just taking notice what has changed for you, what has shifted. And for self, there are a few more steps to the actual flow, but for self-help purposes, I feel like this um, is perfectly supportive of the body. And especially for clients that aren't as familiar with Jin Shin Jyutsu, if you give them, I find if I give them things that are too difficult or too long, they get lost and they won't do the self-help at all. So as Mary said, simplify, simplify, simplify. So for me, depending on my client, sometimes I'll just teach them the first few steps to the 22, and that's enough for them. And that's where you're the artist. And the other thing that happens in when our mental and emotional body is in balance is our breath tightens up. And it's hard for us to receive a breath. We're just struggling to catch a breath. And, you know, everybody will say, breathe. Okay, just breathe. But, you know, sometimes that's not that easy when you're in such a state. And that's where I believe Jin Shin Jyutsu stands out, because it actually gives you a tool, something to do that does, in fact, open up your breath. And so I have a couple of quotes here. Jiro Murai said the breath is the ultimate harmonizer. And then Terry so beautifully talked about the exhale and the inhale. Down the front and up the back. And the exhale allows us to let everything go and make space to bring everything in. And so I chose the breathing flow as part of, what we can do to shift our breath, to open up our breath. And a lot of it is that there's a quote that goes along with this flow that Mary said, with the breathing flow, I can look through and see beyond the problem to know that there never was a problem. So as you open up your breath, that brings in clarity. And the breathing flow itself isn't the easiest thing to do as self-help. It's great for when you're working with another person, but the quick step for the self-help is your high 19 and your opposite high 1. But I want you to just start with your high 19 first. So I've got my left hand holding my right high 19, and the high 19 is the spot between the tip of your shoulder and your elbow. And you can feel around. Most likely you'll find what I refer to as the bullseye, the real tender spot that's calling you. Mine is definitely calling me. We'll just take a couple of breaths here. And then taking your right hand and placing it on your left high 1, the one being the inside of your knee, and just going up a little bit higher. Again, feel around for that bullseye. And to quote Muriel, I love this so much, let the breath breathe you. If you're so inclined with the breathing flow, switch sides, your right hand to your left high 19 and your left hand to your right high 1. And I have a quote from James Nestor. He wrote the book Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art. And if you have not read it, I recommend it. It is a good read. And he hosts breathing retreats all around the world. But what he said is, one of the most common symptoms of both pain and anxiety disorders is shortness of breath or hyperventilation. On the other hand, slow, deep breathing can reduce pain and distress. And we know that when we add our hands, it just enhances all of that. And then there's one final quote I want to leave you with, which is, from Albert Einstein. And to me, this, it is just the heart of JIN SHIN JYUTSU. It says, art is standing with one hand extended into the universe and one hand extended into the world and letting ourselves be a conduit for passing energy. Albert Einstein. And for me, I think of it as one hand extended into the universe and the other hand to the body, our world, so that we can be that conduit and let the energy flow through us. Terry, thank you so much for having me be your special guest. It's always a joy. And then I don't know if we have question and answer time.
Thank you, Beth. I mean, that was beautiful. And thank you, Uncle Albert. I'd never heard that quote. Some beautiful James Nestor, interesting. Yeah, let me put it to gallery view. Right. So does anyone have any questions for either one of us or any feedback, comments? Monica.
Beth, can you repeat Albert Einstein's quote because I couldn't hear you. It
Okay.
was
Oh, Einstein's quote, the one I just
Yes.
read? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm. Art is standing with one hand extended into the universe and one hand extended into the world and letting ourselves be a conduit for passing energy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh my
Ah,
goodness.
Miss Sarah.
I just saw Sarah Harper
Yeah,
pop in. Wow.
Miss Sarah. Mrs. Harper.
Actually, there are quite a few more faces than when I had originally looked.
Yeah.
Anyway, does anybody have any questions? Has anybody ever used the 20, 21, 22 flow to really shift somebody's emotional? Yeah, quite a few people.
Can I say something?
I would love it. Yeah.
So when I first got into the art as a practitioner, I would be at, family gatherings or whatever, and people go, "So what do you do, Debbie?" And I'd say, "Well, I do JIN SHIN JYUTSU." And well, so what is that? And I'd say, "Well," I go, "You don't mind if I put my hands on you, do a little demonstration?" And I would do the 20, 21, 22 flow, the first 3 steps,
Mhm.
and that's all it took.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Love it.
Sarah, I saw you raise your hand.
Oh, I was gonna give some feedback. She asked about 20, 21, 22 flow. For those of you who know me, this was the flow that my mom did on me in the hospital when I was hit by a drunk driver. And for me, this was a life-changing flow. It shifted things so dramatically. So I always feel super akin to this flow. And really those first steps, you're connecting spirit, mind, and body. And so to me, this flow is brilliant. And I'm so touched, and it was really fun to receive it from you, Beth. And Terry, I loved your walking through the fingers with breath. That was so lovely with the 36 exhale. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah will be joining us, by the way. We've got a little wait, but come December, Christmas time, Sarah will be with us. Okay, so if there isn't any more comments, I think I've just about got time to do a favor for someone. Here we go.
Terry, maybe it can be all 3 of us, Beth, you and me.
Oh, that was
Maybe.
fun.
Yeah, that might be nice. Do you want to do that, Beth?
Sure. I'd love to.
Perfect. I was asked by the organizer of this forthcoming class in Portland with Susan Schwartz, would I mention it? Well, I've just done so. there is a 5-day class coming up, September 24th, 28th, taught by Susan in English. And it's important, no prerequisites. There's all your information, and your organizer, Heike, I think it must be pronounced pies, could be peas, but I think it is probably pies. So go on to the JSJ SMB site and you will be able to register for that. So there you are, Heike. I didn't see you on today, but we got it in somehow. Well, all that remains for me to say is thank you so much, Beth. It's always a pleasure to have you share, or just have you by yourself, whatever. I always learn a lot. And honestly, confession time, I don't think I've done 20, 21, 22 flow in a long while. It kind of feels like a supervisor flow to me, but you know, I tend to skip around that and just do the main central. But I really did feel quite a difference there. So thank you. And thank you everybody for
Terry, you know what you brought to my attention that I meant to mention actually is that first step of the 2021-22 flow is also the first step of the supervisor flow,
Right.
and it's also the first step of the gallbladder flow.
Right.
So, which
Yeah.
was one of the face flows that you were talking about. So thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that up. I am putting my information in the chat.
Oh yeah, put your information in the chat. Everyone knows mine, I think. If you don't, I will repeat it, but I think you do.
There we go.
And
Sorry, if that's too fast. You need to find me. Contact Terry. He knows how to find me.
yeah, well, we got time. I mean, I've made H2e deliberately longer these days to allow for questions and copying and what have you. So fire away if you want to copy anybody. In 2 weeks, we're continuing with the JIN SHIN JYUTSU Lifestyle series because, you know, we kind of got behind. And I'll be with Jenny Schweizicki.
Yeah.
And yes, Jenny. And we'll be sharing our thoughts on accidents that cause bodily injuries, which is the seventh aspect, which Mary talks about in textbook 2, paragraph 2, page 2. Did I get that right? Yeah. And anyone who saw Jenny and Beth's study group on Monday, if you're like me, it was absolutely fabulous. 9 months in utero. I really hope she comes back and completes it, because how well she did in that hour and whatever, half an hour, was incredible anyway. And the slides were superb. So if anyone wants to join in with Beth's study group, that's a way of being able to see the replay, right, Beth?
It is, yeah, and it's an amazing group because it's open. It's typically open mic, so that we can all be sharing our experiences. This Jenny was a guest presenter, so she presented, but there was plenty of time for Q&A. So
yeah, it was really good, folks, I thought, and I'm looking forward to sharing with her, as I say, in a couple of weeks on the 19th. And so unless there's anything pressing, well, Sarah's here. Sarah, have you got any courses coming up?
Oh, I do.
Fire away.
I have Kalamazoo at the same time, I think, as Susan, and Jill has a class also in Talent Oregon, a special topic with Debbie. And there's a lot happening this month. And of course, we have our self-help and study groups coming up this month as well. You can go to exhalejsj.com if you want to see my classes. They're there. They're also on JSJ SMB. Thank you. This was lovely, you guys.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sarah. Now, that idea of a trilogy come December, you're definitely in for that, are you, Beth?
well, what's the date? I got to clear, we can get those
hold on.
details later.
Diary. Let me have a look. I
You
did
don't
write
have to do
something
that while
down.
we're, while everybody else is here, but
I did write it down. I thought, Sarah, did you say it was the 2nd or the 4th Thursday? Which one did you say?
Yeah, Terry, I don't know. I was in Mexico.
Oh, you know, yeah, I thought I'd written down Sarah somewhere and I haven't, but I've put second or so it's the 12th of December or the 26th. Now, in England, we have a holiday on the 26th, but I'm in America, so I'll be doing something.
26 wouldn't work, but the 12th does.
The 12th, can you do that, Beth?
I think so, yes.
There you go, folks. 12th of December.
In real time, you all saw the
Beth,
process
Sarah,
of getting a date.
and Terry in alphabetical
A
order.
pear tree too.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be very celebratious. Is that a new word?
Mhm.
And we'll look forward to it. And it's great. Thank you for even thinking of that, Sarah, because I've been thinking about doing that a while back and never got around to it. So wonderful. So thank you, everybody. Take care. I better stop the recording. Yep. And